So this video, I'm really excited to make. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how shadow integration is a spiritual practice. Let's dive into how shadow integration is a path to what I believe is true and authentic enlightenment, and how shadow integration, when it is adopted as a practice and a lens in which you perceive reality, witness yourself, and relate to your reality, will change your life forever. So that's a really big video to try to make, right? And I'm going to do it in my own way, the best that I can, without making this video too long. So let's begin with a concept in many spiritual traditions that speaks about oneness. So oneness is in the scales of consciousness that we've talked about before in this course, the David Hawkins scale of consciousness. Enlightenment is at like 100, whereas like we start from 0 and we get to 100 on the scale of consciousness. And from that place, people call it enlightenment, people call it unity consciousness or oneness. Essentially, from that samadhi sort of state, you have eliminated in your own perception of reality and life, you've eliminated the illusion of separateness. And for many people who are on an authentic spiritual path, who are here to truly know thyself and to self-actualize in a way where you become liberated and limitless, where you were once bounded and suppressed. That whatever dreams you have of experiencing in this world are the very dreams that you are actualizing and that you are in alignment with, that you are essentially manifesting through your consciousness. This path must be distinguished because not everybody is on this path. Not everybody will realize that they are on this path in this lifetime. Not everybody in their development at a soul level is ready for this octave of the path. That does not mean superiority, less than, more than. It means that the soul is experiencing stages and cycles of development that is necessary for the context of whoever we're speaking about, whatever journey we're looking at. All journeys are actually one journey. All beings are actually one being, but we are expressing that in a multitude, a vast array of differences all the time, unique emanations of the same source. We are all on a path of enlightenment. We are all in a path of exiting the wheel of samsara. We are all finding ways to liberate from the illusion of separateness. Now, that's a very spiritual way of looking at things. Some of us are students, mothers, teachers, friends, sisters, brothers. Some of us need to do our laundry. Some of us need to go get our nails done. Some of us are simply just, wanting to enjoy delicious meals with our family every day. Some of us are working on developing a business. Some of us are learning what it means to forgive. We're all on a different path. We're all meant to learn different things in this earth school, but the journey of enlightenment is the same for all of us. It is the illusion, it is eliminating the illusion of separateness. Now, Do we think that everyone is aware of this? Do we think that everyone is living in this way? That everyone is taking enough radical responsibility for our own selves, our own projections, our own awareness, our own perception, so much that we stop blaming the external world and start looking from within and realizing that the change that we want to see in the world is an inside job first? Not everyone is down for that. I don't even know if I'm completely there and down for it. I like to just have fun too sometimes. And that's also a part of, yeah, because we're not separate from the fun of life. So, all of this to say, y'all, I mean, you can tell it's a really big topic, and I'm going to do my best to connect shadow integration to oneness, okay? While using parts work essentially to do that. So, we have to remember that if the goal is to see yourself as less separate from other people, if the goal is to see reality, your relationships as nothing but mirrors, then there's a sacredness, a reverence that we must develop for the mirrors in our lives. Of the 8 billion people in this world, why is it that the constellation of people that surround you are who they are? Why is it that you were born into the family dynamic that you were born into? Why is it that there were certain traumas and conflict that you had to go through? Why is it that there's certain fears that you hold? Why is it that you're annoyed by certain people? Why is it that there are certain people that you hold at a pedestal that you look up to? Why are there some family members that you just can't get along with? Why are there some that you feel like represent home? Essentially, everyone in the constellation, the family constellation of your reality, whether we're talking about blood family, soul family, co-workers, your place of work, whether we're talking about friends, in any constellation of people, you are looking at God. There's a quote by Ram Dass is like, look at everyone as God in drag, because that's essentially what is here. When you start to honor and revere everyone in your life as God that is trying to walk you home closer to God, whether it's by something that feels amazing or something that's very challenging and difficult, we've got to see that everything here is for us and everything here is for our own liberation and our own development in this thing called life, in this earth school. And so just to really ground this and make it even more understandable, why is it that you entered this course? Why is it that you continue to listen to me talk? Why is it that you show up for the live calls? Why is it that you don't? But why are you here? From this perspective of oneness, from this perspective of seeing the God in everyone and just a mirror of yourself, your perception of who I am, Tara, will never be the same perception that any other person in this course will have. And your perception of myself will never be the perception that I have of myself. There might be some overlap, for sure. You might have some overlap of your perception of me in this course, like other people, but it will never be the same snowflake or the same mandala. It couldn't be, because it's your lens, it's your perspective, and you see reality and you see me. You see everyone in your life through the filters of your own perception. And the filters of your own perception were programmed throughout your life based off of life experiences, but also through something much more vast, which is what you were here to learn at a soul level, which we can track with your human design and your astrology, the mythology of who you are in your life, and the personalities that exist in you, the preferences, the likes, the dislikes, right? Which with much room for mystery. But the reason why you are in this course is not actually, if you really see it from this lens, it's actually not about me or like my course as Tara's The Way of Intuition. It's because you were inviting in this thread of your life wheel and your life constellation to help you remember the aspects of yourself that you see in this course and that you see in me. Whatever you thought that you were going to get out of this course is merely a response and a reflection of the very fact that everything in this course and everything that you see that I embody actually lives in you. Because the me that is Tara talking to you doesn't actually really exist other than in your own perception, the way that you are choosing to see me and the way that you see me in the glimpses that you do, right? But every time you do see me and every time you tap into this course, it is merely a reflection that I actually mirror, and you've assigned me. You've given meaning to my existence as a mirror and as a reflection of the qualities that you see in me that exist in you. And, from the shadow integration lens, Carl Jung talks about the golden shadow. So it's like everything that you deem to be like incredible about other people, right? Whether some people see that as like celebrities, some people have their favorite spiritual teachers, some people, have role models, rightfully so, people that we look up to. And maybe some that we even put on a pedestal in some way that we think have all of the answers. Like there's many different ways in which we might be accessing the golden shadow, but really it's all of the positive qualities that you see in people that are not you, but that actually are you, because you would only be able to recognize the qualities that you see in those people because they exist in you. Like you and me and Bob, imaginary Bob, can be looking at one person, Tim, okay? Bob is going to think of Tim in his own way. I'm going to perceive Tim in my own way, and you're going to perceive Tim in their own way. Which one actually exists? None of them. Because the only thing that exists is the perception in which the observer is seeing from. And so in this way, it's like you're in a room, but there's actually only ever one person in the room. It's you. That doesn't mean that we need to take on a narcissistic lens of like, oh my gosh, well, it's all about me then, and nobody else exists, right? Oh, I'm so awake that I see beyond the illusion and it's all me and I create this reality. And everybody's just playing, characters in my reality because it's my world. Nah, not so much like that. Everybody does exist. We're all playing with each other, but it's like playing with your brothers and sisters. It's like we're all brothers and sisters who have come from the same source, and we're all very different. And we don't need to be so concerned about how other people are going to be perceiving reality and living, because everyone's on their own path and everyone's on their own trajectory of awakening and enlightenment and learning, right? But when I say there's only ever one person in the room, it's like you don't need to be tracking or thinking about what's happening with everybody else. You need to be aware of your own inner state and the meaning that you assign to other people. I think this is a really good piece for a lot of us that might, I know I certainly have struggled with like in social settings, right? Like being introverted or like scared of social settings or like scared of being like a new person in a new setting, right? When you adopt this lens and you eliminate the illusion of separateness and you come from this place of like, who am I going to be in resonance to because they're actually me and I really like the mirror that they embody, because they're also going to really like the mirror that you embody. And from that place, you don't need to be liked by everyone. From that place, you don't need to make friends and be validated by all of God's children and all of your brothers and sisters, the 8 billion of them. You just want to be in resonance with the tribe and the soul family and the mirrors in which you get to develop and learn with. For better or for worse, right? Whether it's learning in an easy way, learning in a joyful way, like you're coming home, or in a way of like, wow, that was super freaking challenging. Oh my gosh, you were mirroring some heavy stuff, and vice versa. And I still got to grow from it. So there's all of that, right? And essentially, when we can adopt this sort of lens that reality is simply the meaning that I assign to it, people are simply who I have chosen to perceive them as. And everyone is just walking me home, and I'm walking them home. How liberating is that? To not see people as separate from you, that the ones that you really look up to, or the people that hold all the qualities that you want to embody, it's because there's a yearning and a readiness, a mirror of accuracy, that those things that you see in others really just exist in you. And in its opposite, right? Now this is where the shadow integration comes a little bit more into this. We will learn a lot about the things that we deem to be negative. We will learn a lot about the things that we choose to judge and criticize, the ways in which we will assign certain meaning about people and things because of a narrative that our shadow parts are wanting to upkeep, are wanting to continue as their truth and as the story. So, an example of this, right? It's like if my trauma, my unprocessed trauma, if aspects of myself still need to be healed from some sort of like religious trauma, maybe I had a really bad religious upbringing and I experienced religion from a really controlling place where the people around me didn't seem to actually be liberated by their connection to God or to spirit, but actually that there was a lot of hypocrisy, or a lot of people actually experienced more disempowerment, more shame, more guilt and harm because of the religious path that they were on, right? If I'm healing from that, and I am now years away from those experiences, and I'm like this new version of myself, right? But I enter spaces that are very devotional. Maybe it's not religious at all. Maybe I'm in ceremony. Maybe I am in a ceremony that is for ayahuasca. Maybe I am in a singing circle. Maybe I'm in a cacao circle. Maybe I am in a kirtan. Maybe I am at a retreat led by Tara. Maybe I'm somewhere where there is a connection to spirit and a connection to God, source, universe, right? But if I'm holding this trauma from religion in its controlling and traumatic form, I might step into that space and immediately my nervous system is going to track danger. It is going to start seeing the leader, and it's going to start seeing everyone around me as cultish. It's going to see everyone as potentially inauthentic. It's going to see everyone as harmful, right? Our nervous system is going to be on high alert in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn because we are having a trauma response that is reminding me of something from the past that actually has nothing to do with the current situation or these people. But the mirroring that is happening is that I entered this space so that people could mirror to me where I still needed healing, where I was still letting the past define me, where I was still disconnected from source, from creator, from the universe, because of an unfortunate series of shitty events from the past with people that were corrupt and not in integrity. But is that the story that I want to live with for the rest of my life? Do I want to see every spiritual space as a scary cultish one? Do I want to not believe in the goodness of people because I had one group that took advantage of me? And that's why we're here healing. This is one example, but of many examples in which the universe is mirroring something where we need to heal, we need to develop, we need to remember the truth. We need to reprogram the past in the present to liberate the future. That's what we're doing. And so be aware of the ways in which we villainize people, the ways in which we judge and criticize people, the way that we do it to ourselves. Because, my friends, if you are someone who is critical and judgmental of the world around you, or you meet someone who is really critical and judgmental of you and other people, best freaking believe that it must not be fun to live in that person's reality and in their psyche, because the very fact that they're judging everything around them means that they're judging themselves. That the very same type of criticism and conflicting parts inside that are unintegrated, unhealed, are the very parts that they're seeing in other people and the very parts that they're projecting out. We look for things in the external world to validate our experience, which is why all healing is an inside job. If you want to witness your external world shift, if you want to transform and you want to heal and you want to be the best, most authentic, liberated, fully integrated ninja, Jedi version of yourself, then you've got to take radical responsibility for your inner world and the meaning that you assign to other things and other people, because it's all you. This is very important to remember. Now, the many different things that can be being mirrored, right, are going to be so different. It's subjective for each and every one of you. I can't create this workshop in a way that's going to speak to the nuance of every single person here and what's going on in your life. But I can speak with examples and I can speak in broad energies, right? So, what if sometimes the oneness, the illusion of separateness, the shadow integration requires you to take radical responsibility for your own projections, your own perception, right? And for you to get very curious and inquire about what people are mirroring to you. But I want to make this distinction that yes, sometimes maybe the lesson is, that through the oneness lens and through the shadow integration lens, that which you see in other people that you idolize and that you put on a pedestal is the very invitation for you to integrate and express those things within yourself. That's one theme, right? The golden shadow. To be the goodness that you see in others and to recognize you are not separate from the goodness you see in others. The very reason why you recognize it is because that goodness exists in you. The other theme, right? The other energy that happens is negative projections. Negative projections are when we deem things or people to be bad, evil, dark, something's wrong with them, they're not this, oh, they're too much of this, they're not enough of that. Critical, it's a judgment, and it's a negative projection. Now, two nuances I want to bring to that. How do we be with that, right? Because from one lens, it's like, does that mean that I need to like befriend people that make me feel uncomfortable? Does that mean that I need to be best friends with people that I feel are triggering me? I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't go that far, right? Because what if what they're mirroring to you is actually where you need to have boundaries? There's two different forms here that I want to talk about with negative projections. One is boundaries. One is liberating yourself by cutting ties, by ending contracts, by cutting cords, by liberating yourself from the karma that has been entangled between you and another. Sometimes the greatest learning, sometimes the mirroring is present because you need to learn how to love yourself by letting go of someone else. Sometimes you need to not be afraid of losing other people, but be afraid of losing yourself by staying in relationships for much longer than you should be in. Those are the type of mirrors that still are, from this oneness lens, you. Thank God we give thanks to the hard mirrors, the difficult mirrors, the people who hurt us, the people who continue to hurt us, the people who will never see us accurately, the people who projected their traumas onto us, the people who never knew how to treat us right, the people who annoy us at the grocery store. We give thanks from this lens, from this liberated lens, because it's an opportunity for us to love ourselves even more by no longer carrying the weight of entertaining things that are inauthentic to us. So I'm talking about the people-pleasing archetype. I'm talking about the archetypes of not having boundaries, of not knowing our worth, being too accommodating, being too nice in situations that don't require that much niceness, people who are gullible and not discerning about people's energy before you commit to being with them in whatever capacity. I'm talking about people who are learning to love themselves by the sacred mirrors that are showing you where you need to love yourself by having boundaries, by saying no, by cutting the cords, by cutting the ties. We need to say bye-bye to those mirrors in order to love ourselves sometimes. So that's one way in which a negative projection you have of someone is actually bringing you home to yourself, because you're learning more about self-love through where that love is distorted, where there isn't actually love being served at the table anymore, and where you need to walk away. And the next layer of that, which brings us fully back into love, is forgiveness. The hardest step for a lot of people. It might even take us lifetimes. Forgiveness will spiral and it will keep showing up in our lives at different points, and our ability to forgive certain people will only deepen. There's no pressure to forgive those who have hurt us immediately. Maybe it's not even for you to forgive in this lifetime. Maybe you've been trying to forgive for lifetimes, certain dynamics. And from this lens, it's like the lesson is not to lean in where you need boundaries. The lesson is not to befriend what is unsafe to you. The lesson is to walk away, but the forgiveness is how you heal. To walk away, but to also see the oneness of it all, to see that this person played their part perfectly somehow for your growth, for your development, for you learning about your strength and your no's and your boundaries. And forgiveness takes you back to the source and remembers that we're all cosmic mirrors playing out certain narratives for one another all the time. So there is an innocence even underneath the evil that we can see in another. From some lens, it doesn't make it okay. And from some lens, it's like, just because I can see your innocence doesn't mean I want you freaking near me ever, right? We can hold those dimensions at once. That is a spiritually mature person to be able to hold that nuance of like, that's a no for me completely. And I don't have to shame, guilt, or make evil this person. It's a no for me because I needed the mirror that they were embodying the things that I needed to learn how to say no to. So thank you. And I will eventually learn to forgive you and see you as a divine messenger of God when I am ready to. The other negative projection theme is when we project onto other people, where we criticize, shame people for the way that they've chosen to live their life, the qualities that they embody. Maybe you see or hear or feel people on social media and you just judge them, right? And some of the time, it's just about energy resonance. Sometimes it's about vibration and soul family. It's like you will resonate with the energies that you resonate with, and you don't have to resonate with everyone at all. It's not about that. But I would get curious about the negative projections you have of your family, your friends, your community, people on social media, anyone, where you feel like they are wrong for something. Like they're inherently wrong for whatever things that they embody. And the question for you is, are they embodying something that you haven't gotten to know within yourself? Are they simply embodying something different from what you've allowed yourself to experience? Have you ever given yourself permission to try out or embody some of those things that you're criticizing or judging? Because a lot of the time, we can place negative thoughts and negative projections on other people simply because they're actually just expressing and being in the world in a way that we did not give ourselves permission to be. And there we have, another aspect of our shadow that's coming up. What I have hidden and suppressed and denied, I'm going to be able to recognize when other people are embodying those things, right? It's like you can be so annoyed by someone who is taking up a lot of space in the room at the party, who seems to want all of the attention, who is full of themselves, who is just, yeah, you perceive them as loud and annoying and narcissistic, right? Now, inherently, what if that person does need to work on some things? Sure. But why is that a mirror for you? That's the deeper inquiry. That's the next level of this game. It's like, what is my relationship to taking up space in the room? What is my relationship to being loud and taking up space with my voice? What is my relationship to showing up radiantly? What is my relationship to being seen and having the attention on me? If I feel that those things are deeply uncomfortable for me because I simply haven't had experiences around it, how can I look at this person and blame them for being themselves and project these things when what they're really doing is just mirroring to me that they hold codes and that they hold qualities that I actually am curious, how they might live in me, because I seem to be, of all the people in the room, tracking and aware of that person, looking for the narrative, looking to validate the story that I have about who they are. Why? And that's when we get to compassionately inquire about what this person is mirroring to us. So what all of this allows us to do when we walk in the world, when we walk the way of intuition, who we're going to be on the other side of this course, what we get to remember is that the goal is not to necessarily use spirituality as a way to be better than people, a way to see yourself as more superior, more enlightened. but more so of a path to experiencing life with greater compassion for yourself and for others. To be able to forgive when people in your life have forgotten the truth and forgotten how to treat you as a sacred mirror. To forgive those who have hurt us and have taught us what it means to love ourselves through our boundaries and through our no's. To have compassion for ourselves when we feel separate from all the goodness that we see in other people and realize that they're just shining a mirror right back at us. To be able to live compassionately and to remember that everyone, through their various traumas, childhood experiences, emotions, socioeconomic realities, different karmas, different, aspects of our soul's blueprints. We're all just trying to remember our connection back to the source. We're all just trying to live well. We're all just trying to listen to where our intuition is guiding us. We're all just trying to get along and find harmony within and without. And this is a path to do so, because people who integrate their shadow, people who take responsibility for our perception, are very safe people. Think about it. People who are constantly judging and criticizing and feeling separate than things, that's not really safe energy to be around. Now, do I feel like there's a lot of that energy in the world? Yes. Do I think that a predominant number of people in the world think in this way? No. But I believe that it's possible that each and every one of us, the more that we remember this innate true oneness, by being able to see how everyone is just trying to illuminate more of you, and that God lives in everyone. So let's act accordingly. If each and every one of us in this course embodies a little bit more of that in our everyday life, right? And that begins to ripple out and ripple out and ripple out, then over generations, you will have people who have remembered, and you will have people who have passed this way of being down to their children. And those children will pass it to their children. And the world will continuously, intergenerationally, be able to shift from the ego to the soul, from separation to oneness, from survival to enlightenment. Some people are triggered by that word, and I get it. I really, really get it. Some people claim to be on a path of enlightenment, but seem to feel more separate than others more than ever. And so that is my invitation to you, to be with all of this information, to let it sit, let it marinate, right? Watch as many times as you need, but to start seeing in this way of like, what is my reality trying to mirror to me? What is reality trying to show me? What is this person trying to show me about myself? How can I take responsibility for myself in this situation? There are journaling prompts underneath this video in the text area. Take the journaling prompts. It's another layer to this practice where you get to really uncover some more of this discovery of what's in your shadow. What are things that we've been assigning to other people? What is the universe trying to show us? It's all in there. And then just to balance, you know, because there's this piece that I've said at the end around here of we need to let go of a sense of superiority in order to be in true oneness. And that some people on the spiritual path feel more separate than other people than ever, instead of leaning into the oneness of it all. Now, there is a paradox in this that will be addressed in the third video here, where I am calling that the dark goddess and the dark magician. something that I have integrated. I am about to be an example for you of what it means to integrate the shadow, because to do this in this course, the truth is, like, I can't personally help you integrate it in a way that's so nuanced for you. This is a course that speaks to many. If you want to work with me separately and deep dive into what needs to be integrated for you, we can do that. But to speak, in this holistic way, in a way that you get to understand more of what's going on with the shadow work, the shadow integration, I will share with you the examples of my own shadow integration and my own mythology, as I believe it will spark within you whatever it is that you are meant to be integrating and actualizing. Just remember, this course, it's providing tools, it's providing awareness, but the integration is your life, and the integration is your whole life. It's not just after this course. It is a way of being that we get to adopt more and more of. We might need more support than just this, right? But this is giving us a substantial lens into a different way of seeing ourselves in reality. So look out for the next video. It'll be my story of shadow integration, and definitely work on the journaling prompts in this video.